Hi, everybody. I was just reading Storms, Radios, and Cats' response to me. I was just watching Will It Grow's last live. It was really, it was good to sit there and just listen to him. I'm so glad to see him trying to plug back into the community while he's been building businesses. Today, oh, and also I wanted to welcome our beloved gardening warrior. Many of us know her as Gardening Warrior Q, but that's okay. Many people know me. They still call me Fishes from a Fishes and Loaves Life, my old channel name. Woohoo! Oh, hey, living my best life at 60. Hey, Bob 942. Both will leave the United if oh, of, like that's a shock. Oh my gosh. Hey Garrett, good to see you. There, She also admits to she doesn't care if people call her a witch. Like basically she'll be a witch. Yeah. I don't care what happens with them. I really don't. I remember they said that. They said that before too. A bunch of Hollywood elites are like, "I'm gonna leave if he gets in." Yeah, and I get that, Q. I totally get it. Well, because it's like it's the same thing with my name. People don't know. Do they call me Sunshine? Because there's so many Sunshines in the community. Hey, J3GS, good to see you. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I have lots of work to do. That is also why what I have to announce. I'm gonna like GT, even though he's like posting videos, which his is the next one I wanted to go see about his tomato. Um, GT Junior grows at Alaska, is who I'm talking about. Um, I have an inspector coming. We've been having like inspectors coming to the house. Oh, hey, Moon over Miami. Inspectors coming to the house for it's the homeowners insurance, which is a huge issue in South Florida. We got inspected in order to get this new insurance because our insurance is leaving, at least the housing insurance market, they're leaving. We went through all that and now they've signed us up, but they want to send out their inspector. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we just finished spending like thousands of dollars to be able to get insurance. God protect us because I'm so over, you know, just over it. But that being said, I still have that third bedroom that could be considered like a fire hazard because it's got so much crap in it. So yeah, I'll be working on that and in the next week. I'm not you'll still see me like this weekend, of course, on the late nights and stuff, but I might scale it back and you won't see me as much like, in Messenger for my friends who are in Messenger with me and just going to lives, all the lives. And I feel horrible. I miss Diva in the Dirt. She was on last night with, I think it's called Wild at Home. They interviewed her, but you can also catch it on her channel and give her some view time. She was able to do the whole sharing thing that J3GS taught her. I missed the beginning of it, so I don't have it set up for that on here. Oh, that sounds so good. Gardening Warrior. Oh, peanut butter and jelly. Could grow with melons. Yeah, we probably could, but I don't know if it's made specifically for their cooler weather. I couldn't. That's why he specifically mentioned Florida because he knows it would just get blighted. Cantaloupe here. Here, let me pop that up so everybody can see. Will It Grow in the Shed Wars community is throwing a Yankee Lope challenge and he'll send people, I think he said he'd send them the seeds to this special cantaloupe, but it looks like the devil's cantaloupe because when you cut it, it's got like a skull inside. So yeah, cantaloupe tends to get blight for me in my backyard, but I'm still not the best annual gardener. I don't like annuals. I'm trying to build up my tropicals so I can have a set it and forget it pretty much yard, except for feeding it. And now that I learned too, watering it during our dry season. Don't know what I was thinking. Hey, my Alabama farm life. Good to see you. My Alabama farm life, I just checked out This video she has up. Oh, she's got this awesome DeWalt trimmer that I so want. I don't know if I'm wondering how big of like the twigs I could get with that. Not twigs, but branches. Like if it would act like just a lopper too. The only problem is I need an extension for this mulberry that's supposed to be a dwarf. Uh, it wants to turn back into a tree. Whatever it was crossed with, it just wants to be the tree that it wants to be. But at least, that makes you Homestead Aquarius said it one time, like, mulberries will make you feel like you can garden. Hallelujah. Yes, they do. They do, indeed. The only thing is my big mulberry bush tree thing, ornamental with fruit. I wanna move it because it's right next to my jackfruit, but I'm afraid of disturbing it too much and disturb the jackfruit taproot. I just may have lost my Barbados cherry that was finally starting to fruit because the taproot I'm gonna try and put out a video showing you that I was trying to remove the taproot carefully, but it ended up because it had sat on its side and dried out a bit, after I discovered that it was, going underneath its pot, like really taking off and going underneath the pot, it snapped. So, and it had 2 liter. It was almost like it had a dual taproot, which is, taproot's usually one straight kind of down. So I don't know if it's going to live. It looks pretty dead. So I'm just letting it, I up potted it anyway, gave it some, good old water and just keep checking on it and hoping, taking off some of the dead leaves because it's in complete shock. I'm just hoping it's not dead. I'm just hoping it's just a really bad shock and it will come back to me because it's a great source of vitamin C. Like you guys have rose hips. We have the Barbados cherry, which is acerola cherry, which people buy in supplement form. And they also put in like their smoothies and such, which I miss smoothies right now. Hold on one second. My son wants me to do something. Okay. We use the voice search and it's actually good because it's taught him to speak more of what he wants. Here, I wanted to move over so you could see. My husband surprised me and brought home an orchid because we were not going to do anything for Valentine's, and he brought me home orchids, which he knows I love. And it's a good thing because suddenly my orchids are getting tip burn at like I've never seen, and I've got to look into what's causing it. I don't know if it's the new growing. I noticed that a lot of them came in with new growing media, and I'm not sure if that's part of it. Like when they pot them up for sale at the store to make them look nice, that there's something in the growing media that's shortening the life of the orchid. But they can still come back. They're incredible down here. Hey, howdy garden. Good to see you. Good to see you. Just waiting a couple minutes for people to come in. I know how it, uh, sends out notifications or doesn't for a lot of the people that I watch and follow. I'm actually surprised I didn't see one for Marine, but I was trying to play dominoes with Malachi last night, and yeah, he wanted to eat them because we were playing with real dominoes. And they were so like it's such an old set. They put spinners in them, like little metal tabs in the center of the domino. I had never seen that, and some of them go up to like 9. I think as a kid, I don't remember seeing even 7. I think ours went up to like 6, the set. I don't know. I don't remember that at all. So when I took them out, the first one I took out was like a 9. And I'm like, what the heck kind of domino set is this? It might have been like one of uh my parents' sets. I'm pretty sure it was that we had a game closet. Like our house was set up like split bedroom, so master was off on the other side, and then you would walk through the living room kitchen and you'd get to another living room or family room, and then the other bedrooms were off of that. And down at the end of the hall, we had this closet that was perfect for putting in board games. It was just a great size. and that's what mom used for it. I miss that house just for the pool that it had, the location, and the pantries and the extra closets. The storage space in that house was really great. But after, over 30 years, my parents filled it up. And I'm so glad I helped them actually clean out a lot of it, because what came to my house is plenty. I'm buried, and that's what I have to go through, and why I'll take a little time off. Um, and it's not going to be like noticeable, I don't think. It's just if you don't see me in a live where you think you're going to see me, that's why. So today, the topic is about basically how stress affects the pain levels in us. And I was going to show a pre-stress picture of myself, and I don't know if little man made it disappear. There it is. No. There you go. Nice little shot there of my forehead. Oh my goodness. It's funny because I was looking for this picture of my dad, and I pulled out a devotional and I found his picture too. This is my dad at 80. He was, let's see, 2009. I was turning 49. He was 84, about 83, 84 in this. That was my dad. And he was working alongside of me in this lovely house of foreclosure and mildew. Now, in 2009, we bought this house from the bank. It was in January 2009. Things were stressful enough at my parents' house. My nephew was in a lot of trouble. He was dealing. Okay, thanks, Glenn. I appreciate it. He was dealing out of the house while we were renting from my parents, which was not expected, that he was in that much trouble. The reason I think my parents shut down was because they had just put up money to get him out of jail. He was very troubled because my sister had issues and she left, basically, with those addiction issues. So yeah. So I came from that environment where I was kind of mad at my parents. Like, why didn't you deal with him? Like, why didn't you deal with him more, like kick him to the curb? And my mother was concerned that if she did, like, he would end up dead. And I understood it now, looking back at that time. He did go and live with some friends, which were probably also dealing. And he came home with this huge hematoma and said, like, basically they got broken into and he got hit in the head with a bat. So I totally get it. But at the time, I have a little girl. I'm sleeping on the floor in her room because I'm hearing his phone go off at night, and I'm hearing sliding glass door, and he's dealing. Probably. Nobody wanted to believe it. My husband was completely shut down. He's like, it's not my house. They have to deal with it. So I was hecka ready to get out of my parents' home and renting from them. And when the foreclosure came to us, you would never think that I would buy this foreclosure. It had a whole wall that was loaded with mildew, mold, that my father and I wore respirators and all the things, and we actually remediated it ourselves, which I don't recommend. I recommend getting a company because then they can test everything, make sure, the spores are gone. We had no air conditioning in at all at the time. The unit itself was a mess and it was going to be ripped out. So we had everything open, and it was like cool January weather we were having that year. So that in itself was stressful, but we get into our home, and this is about Easter 2009. You can see my size. I'm still tiny. I was pretty tiny then. Probably was like 115 pounds, which that's even like a little bit thin for adult me. But sorry about all the butts and the uhs. We get into our home, Easter time. Excuse you. Okay. Got my little thanks, Bob. Got my little burper over here next to me. We get into the house around April. I remember standing in my kitchen, and I remember feeling my heart drop because my brother had entered the hospital. He had caught like his lungs. They thought it was like pneumonia. And as he's there, my mother that day when I'm feeling like, ugh, all of a sudden in my kitchen, that day he was dying. He was dying. And my mom, what crushed her was she had to make the decision to give him a shot to go to hospice. Well, the shot was too much for his system, or he was just that close to death that he didn't make it to hospice. He died in the ambulance. So July 15th in this house, we lost my brother. I felt it. My mom, I was in the because I remember where I was. I was in the kitchen and my phone rang and I said, "Is he gone?" And my mom's like, "Yeah, and just come." Like, so I had to go. Hospice was, generous enough to give him still a room so we could come in and have some time with him. Yeah, the black mold allergy is awful. And that's what I wonder too. Like, sometimes, Bob, if that contributed to the illnesses and stuff that I've had. And, but it seemed like we really did a good job of cleaning it out. We had, particular chemicals and stuff that we used back then. We didn't do, I don't know if we did the ozonator, like an ozone machine. I can't remember. I'm not positive. But anyway, so that started just a mourning period in the whole family. And then my sister's coming back into the picture. She had come back before my brother passed. She came back that December prior, and the family is in unrest because her son won't go with her um, at that time. And if he would have, he wouldn't have been arrested. But he would have been up there with her. He wouldn't have been arrested. So yeah, black mold is terrible. Um, so that started off basically why I'm telling that prequel story is that started off a stressful period that was beyond what I knew at the time. Like, I was just going through it. I didn't realize what it was doing to my body, but it was all those ups and extreme downs. Later on, my parents helping them move, which I never saw coming. I moved up to Palm Beach County. I was living in Broward to be closer to them as they aged. I didn't expect my sister to come back then, but now I know why. My father was in his 80s and she was probably thinking, this is the time to be there because, things are going to start going downhill, and she wanted to collect because my parents, and when she was doing well, they did have a will, and she knew she was going to get some things. We'll just say yeah. So it was very stressful. And like when she came back, of course we were all excited. We thought she was dead. Like, we didn't know. We wanted, to give her just a fresh new start, but it became more and more apparent that she came back and she was still lying about using, um, and really was there for herself, like to get things from the family. It was a really tough time before even my brother passed away. And uh, after my brother passed away, I got my parents ready and they did move up. Like, we all kind of pitched in the last moment to move them. I was surprising, my sister came down with a friend that helped. They got a U-Haul and the boys helped pack everything in. And my parents actually bought used cars for my two nephews who were still here. So they would always have like larger cars. So if they needed a place to stay and couldn't have an apartment, they could live, hey, Guardian, they could live in the car. And as you know, those of you who know my story, after they moved up there, dad got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Then it was just one thing after another. So those kind of outside stresses, there's only so much that we can control with those. Like that, you're walking through those. You have to kind of make time for yourself. You maybe like having Guardian come in. You have to exercise. I wasn't doing those things. I was completely shut down. I tend to isolate and shut down when things are so emotionally overwhelming. And then add in there, I was excited because we were going to foster and possibly adopt. and you add in a really difficult foster period. Like, his case was insane. His case was just insane. And prior to that, we had another child here, and the mom found out where I lived, and it scared me. It scared me. Hey, Trish, good to see you. So I actually almost gave up before we got Malachi. We almost stopped. Um, so we were we had gone through all those things. Then mom came here, and I took care of her. And I would say my health was it continued to get bad. The weight continued to go on. Thank you. And I really tried like my best to take care of my parents, to tell them to come down, get out of PA. It's time to come back to Florida, because there was really like no one to care for them. My sister had gone to live with them, but come to find out she had gone there because she had a felony. And then she moved my other nephew in, who, after my father passed, who was completely, he's like he's pretty lost. And it's such a shame because he's Mensa intelligent, like really, really high IQ. But he's addicted too. He's got addiction issues and some mental issues because of the addiction. So they're in there with my mom, and that's how I ended up getting my mother. Was my uncle called me and said, "Get your mom out of this toxic environment." And I'm like, "I've tried, I need help." And he's like, "No problem." And I never expected him to do that. And he stepped forward with my cousins, and they helped pack everything. And, I get it now, because he had an illness going on, and he couldn't handle the responsibility of my mom and that whole mess that was going on in her house with my nephew and my sister. But I had begged my parents before it got like this, like, "Please, please come back. Please, we'll work something out." And it just didn't work out until my mom's third stroke. And my uncle basically said, "You can either go in a home, or you can go with your daughter, who is, willing to take care of you." Because my mom really had a hard time leaving Pennsylvania. That was after my brother passed. That was where she ran for comfort, was her extended family and the drives through the country. And how do you say it? I'm pretty much the one who, although they didn't see it, I was always the one that was in my parents' corner and always looking out for them. And, we all have dysfunction to a certain extent in our families, and some of those things we can't help, but moving forward with our own family, we can. Yeah, they do. A lot of people, they do. Well, sometimes the high IQs come with mental illness, and it's really sad. You see that even with artists who struggled. But I mean, now we know Van Gogh probably was poisoning himself while he was mixing his paints with, certain toxic things. But yeah, it's a shame. It is a shame. Yeah. I think I was like 125 or 128 when I tested last time, but that was the thing too, is stress will just wring out your brain. I never had a memory really well either, so I can't imagine. Yes, bipolar, yep, mhm. And also the drugs can cause that though too, so it's really hard there, Moon. A lot of children who are drug and alcohol exposed can become bipolar, or they're on the, fetal alcohol syndrome spectrum, or you know, au- they have autistic. Yeah. Oh, hush, Wickershire. Lucky you can tie your shoes. There's the man with the memory. You got all my memory. God, when I was in line, God gave it to everybody. He gave me some, so I'm grateful. But so anyway, that's talking about just a segment in my life where really there wasn't much I could do. It was just things hitting me upon things upon things. And I still have that. But there's some things that I know that cause stress, and probably in your life too, that you know. Hey, Shawnee. Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry, Shawnee. He didn't wanna be in that school. That the behavior is communication. I don't wanna put that I don't know if well, it's in the side chat, but behavior is communication, and sometimes our special needs children, when they're overreacting like that in a classroom, they're trying to tell you something. So, yeah, the stress and also special needs mamas. I've been a special needs mama since I had my first. Communication is it was Hannah's when she was little, she wasn't talking, uh, and she had some things, and we worked through that too with getting her therapy and everything. He is actually harder to set up for therapy even though he is on a insurance that covers just about everything. Once, like, he was out of the system as far as a foster, it without that case manager interceding, it's really hard to get the help. "Hey, the bud file's good to see you." So, let's fast forward, not flash forward, but fast forward to currently. I've given up sugar. It's very hard. I am like, when they said a calorie was a calorie, I ate desserts. Hey, Sammy Joe, 1982, good to see you. Okay, that sounds perfect. Whatever you can do helps my time and on here. Um, Let me see. It's for our home and a different group to play with. Exactly. So you're doing your mama thing. It's not gonna be clear and clear cut. It's very difficult. Oh dear, that's serious. Yeah. And I have, mamas and daddies that have special needs kids in my chat. And, some people are able to put them in a school and the school works out for them, and that's great. Or they're getting calls all the time from the school. Please get up. Yes. In fact, I am dealing with that right now with little man. You're not the calls from the school, but I'm dealing with my son and his things that he likes to do. Some of it is regular, like what you would see toddler kids do. He was just getting underneath the table. Good, Shawnee. Yeah, I we set our appointment to see our new doctor. I was so excited. We got insurance. I got a discount on the federal discount they were giving people. I got some of that for myself. My poor daughter didn't get anything. I'm like, how does that work? Like, what the heck? Um, Probably because she's of age and she's living with us is all I can think of, but crazy. And yeah, I was so excited. We both chose the same doctor that had really great ratings and that she found through another doctor that she uses. I gotta stop saying somebody actually commented on someone else's video who was delivering like news sort of about, oh, all the I just, drives me crazy. You don't realize you do it until you're a creator and you see your videos and you're like, it's that mental pause while you're thinking. For some reason, that comes out of the mouth. So it's really hard to avoid and hard to break. When there it is. So flash forward to today, I quit sugar. Duncan told me about the mushroom coffee. I have done a full week of the type that she's using. I found it very acidic, but you said the medium roast was kind of like and the dark roast was better. I got the medium because that's all they had for the Keurig. Hey, cool gamer, welcome, welcome. I've been drinking that. I haven't noticed much of a difference, but I think it's because I had to add cream to the coffee because it had such a bite. Because I usually use it's an organic Paul Newman Keurig roast, and it doesn't have that acidic bite. We'll see. I'm gonna use up the whole larid mushroom. It's this one. I'm going to use this up because I realized I had had most of those mushrooms and I shouldn't have a reaction to them. And then I'm going to go back to my other coffee and see if I notice a difference in my pain levels or anything like that. I do notice that I may have to switch out of the gardening only genre as until I can maybe increase my stamina, my strength, because when you are frozen and you are not using those muscles as you get older, you lose those muscles. You tend to lose muscle anyway as you get older. You tend to go into atrophy unless you are, working out and keeping them going. Yeah, I had to use the half and half. The heavy whipping cream down here, crazy expensive for the organic heavy whipping cream. Also, oh, okay. I should switch it up. I should definitely switch it up. I don't know, right, Sammy? And we wouldn't have noticed it if we didn't, like, film ourselves. We really wouldn't have unless somebody said, "Do you know you say a lot?" I do. Mm. Yeah, I can't be hard-headed about it anymore with the sugar because I was going up. I had gained a lot of my weight back that I had lost, last year, and I was getting mad about that, and I realized the one thing I can do, and especially for inflammation, was just, get rid of the sugar. But it was hard in the beginning. I What you do is you keep it really like, how they say, simple, stupid, like, keep it simple, stupid, the KISS method. Hard-boiled eggs in the morning. It was like a fast. There I go again with the it was like a fast. Um, I used hard-boiled eggs and just straight up protein. I got the worst, the worst, like, as they say, keto flu. Oh, it was horrible coming off sugar, but that shows you how addictive it is. Hey, Wyoming Adventures, good to have you in. So I started doing lemon water with, sea salt. Some people say, like, Himalayan, and so I'm always a little bit leery of a salt mine in an area that's known a lot of war. Uh, yeah, I'm and that it's colored. Like, all those colors, are they necessarily good minerals, or is there some heavy metals in that? Like, I don't know. I found out, like, my Celtic that I loved, it's got lead in it, so I used it for other things. You say always. Yeah, what's your go-to word for the mental pause as you're trying to do your storytelling? If Maureen was here and she's doing her bread, it's her bread, day, like, where she makes all her dough for her wonderful artesian breads. She says she edits out things, like her pauses and her things that she does too. So the other thing I decided to do, and this is a huge stress in most marriages. Okay, hold on. Of course, this is exactly when he needs me. This is a huge stress in marriages, even if you're on your own, especially when you've got to pull out all the stops and do the things and pay the bills, is finances. We'll take advice from here or there and watch YouTube videos and we want a fast fix, but what if it's not a fast fix? Like, the way I came home was the way I came home to homeschool my first my first child, really our second. My husband had a daughter when I married him. Was I went back to the envelope method and just making sure we had enough for each thing. It was averaging out all the bills that were coming out of our checking and anything that was on our Visa at the time. And I realized I didn't have to continue to work part-time and keep her in preschool where she was coming home with homework. I was like, wait, financially, it works out better because we're not going to be sick as much and going to the doctor. And I can work one on one with her where she won't have homework. The homework will be at home and we can go and do things that she would enjoy. And I could base like her learning around her, things that she enjoys. Aren't eating more eggs. Yeah, see, that's a huge one. That's a big step. It's one step at a time. It's what I couldn't do what I just recently did this and I'm not completely off like fructose. I'm not eating fruit, but I'll have a date or a couple of dates and that was after I went through the eggs, the like canned tuna, it was almost really a carnivore fast at first. And then I was like, okay, I've got to eat some vegetables because I'm not going to end up pooping, which with fibromyalgia, it usually one of the symptoms is IBS, but I've had that pretty much all my life, not to be gross. Here, we will get it together. We have a savings account for the first time. That's wonderful. Yes, yes. And that's okay, I'm going to show you this book. Yep, real honey is actually higher in fructose than just having piece of fruit. Real honey is wonderful medicinally, but to add into your coffee, I believe it's actually higher on the glycemic index, Sammy. I have to double check because it shocked me because I love real honey. I actually ordered it to start making bread, believe it or not, my own bread. I ordered real Florida honey from a Florida beekeeper. So, yeah, well, you have to burn it off. And I wouldn't say you can eat anything you like here in America. Our foods have been so commercialized, Guardian, that they have non-food items in them. So we can't say that because we'll just say pharma is in charge of our food. So what does pharma want? Do they want us to be well? I wouldn't say so. It serves them better. Okay, so I was right. Okay, it's higher glycemic index. The index on it, the glycemic index is higher. Oh wow, really, Sammy Joe? Yeah, they our crops here in the States are wheat, corn, are big ones, soy. So all those derivatives of those crops, which are GMO, find their way into the foods. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Wyoming. Exactly. Yeah, my husband's kind of on that diet moon, but he has his particulars that he favors and does not favor. I can no longer be on something like that. And also just seeing like just snacking, like we're snackers in this family. We like to snack. And I have to start making my own snacks. I found that for me, avocados are fantastic. If I just need like something to satiate me, avocado does it with, a sprinkling of just some seasoning. I have a low salt or low sodium alternative salt called Jane's Crazy Mix Up Salt that I enjoy on them with a little bit of lime. Yeah, and some of for this Guardian 2, this is Fibro Friday, and a lot of the people who come in here can't do what you do. We physically are unable right now. Like walking would be a huge deal for some of my folks who come in. Um, kudos that you've had it going on, you've got it going on. That's great. Yes, exactly. It is different. Your foods are sourced directly from farms. You're not having all those additives. It's not commercialized. You're not walking into basically consumerism, like when you walk in with all the bright colors and, the boxes and, you really have to read ingredients lists here if you're taking something off those center shelves. And there's many center shelves. Yeah, that's wonderful. So it might work for your genetics, but I want to go back to this girl, but maybe, she'll be a little bit heavier because that was also a little bit of anxiety. That was after a little bit of anxiety that went the other way. I found once I turned 40, and that's the other thing, the hormones changed for my women who are watching. You might want to check this book out because, yeah, the studies might have been faulty, and the growth of unless you have, breast cancer or anything like that that is affected by estrogen, you might want to check it out. The studies were not as extreme as they made them sound for all these years and kept us women off HRT. You know why they kept us off HRT? Because guess what we pick up instead? Pharmaceuticals. Because once you lose your estrogen, you lose brain protective chemicals. Your joints start to hurt more because you lose a lot of your body's natural lubrication. Your skin starts to break down. Like your body completely starts to break down. I can't speed walk, but I can walk. I think I have a misalignment in my hips Passamaquoddy, and that's what's causing some of my pain with the plantar fasciitis. I do walk inside. Yesterday we took a walk outside. I felt so sore after, and this morning too. I was like, "What did I do? I'm extremely sore." And I took a walk. And not even that far. It's really just around the block once. And I was stunned that I hurt that much. Yes, they do. Our hormones change. They change the way our metabolism works. And that's also, it is most women who are going through peri or menopause are more likely to, it's more likely to activate the fibromyalgia. So you can have a double up effect where you've got the estrogen issues, the lack of estrogen issues right on top of the fibromyalgia. Oh, wow. Oh, bless her. Well, I don't know. She might want to get that book, Shawnee, and see what she thinks of it, or even if it is on audio, and see what she thinks about it. Hey, Aid, good to see you as always. And hello, Tofu. I thought I saw you squeeze by real quick. So let's go back to finances. What I did was I start researching, and I found this book that actually is a updated version of a book that was published 10 years ago. And I can't highly recommend it yet. I've just started it. But what he is saying is, we get all these flashy answers on what the heck? Hold up. How to invest and how to get rich quick and everything. And sometimes it's the haul of, the turtle is the best bet for most people right now. Yeah, it is getting harder, and that's exactly why I quit sugar. It's getting harder. I might go from actually keto to going raw vegan, not to be pushy and no meat, just to see what my system does. Some people can't do that because that's a lot of oxalates and it makes them hurt worse. So you got to do what your body's calling for. Hey, you new, good to see you. No, there's not a test for it yet. They say there is a test, but there's no definitive test for it. You get tested for everything else. And then when those tests are coming up negative, the rheumatologist knows what he's looking at then. He's like, okay, this is, fibromyalgia. I basically have both. I have chronic fatigue syndrome with fibromyalgia. And I have a special needs child. That's the thing too, is people don't realize, like, they're like, "Oh, you're home." Okay. Would you be saying that to me about my yard or about what you think I should do with my life if I was a paraprofessional in school? Because there's more kids? What is it? Because I'm driving out of my house to go there? What one-on-one is just as hard. I'm telling you. I've worked in the schools. It's stressful because 'cause they're not your kids, so you can't redirect them in certain ways. But having to actually deal with all the difficulty yourself and not being able to just drop them off and have that time freed up, it's something else. So, anyway, to go back to this, they will give you, blood work. They will, sometimes do nerve testing, which thankfully at the time I didn't need. Like, at the time, it was not affecting. I didn't have peripheral neuropathy. I still, um, I really don't. I will struggle a little bit with my hands. That's actually how I found out about the fibro. The hand stiffness was ridiculous. I was trying to learn guitar, and I had been a potter in college and had the same thing happening where my hands would cramp really easy compared to kids my age. Like, it made no sense. Trying to think what else they gave me. They give you something called the ANA. Uh, I know Brenda knows what it is. The problem with the ANA is people with lupus can have lupus and not test positive on the ANA unless they're in a flare, and even then might not test positive. It's way later on after lupus has done its damage to their body that they found out it was lupus. So that's the thing with these kind of problems, is the testing is not always conclusive. You just know that when you get up in the morning, you're feeling things that you did 3 days ago still, and you don't know why, and you're super stiff. And things like just people touching your skin can set, like, you off, like, it's just, "Oh, that really hurt," and then look at you like, "I barely touched you." It is they are finding a swelling in the brain cells, the ganglia, and your nervous system up and down your spine. Let me see. Working on eating cleaner while retaining my diet. Yeah, exactly. You sure can. Especially if you're using, like, and it's not always everybody's favorite, but there's, even though they say quinoa is a protein grain, it's also a carbohydrate. I can't have quinoa right now because it is considered a carbohydrate with keto eating. You can have brown rice, like those kind of things, and if you can afford them in bulk, that's kind of the best way to do it. Yeah, I haven't gone in to see if I need a lift on my shoe. I really, that's the only thing I can think of, is that it's something to do with that because it's always my left side, it's always my left foot past Passamaquoddy. Yeah, I know, honey. I know your situation, and I would not wish it on anybody. You do fantastic. You do amazing. Oh, I'm really far behind. Sorry, guys. My son just, that's okay. Yeah, you have that tumor on your spine. I know. Yeah, that's where it gets to. There you go. That was where I was, Wyoming Adventures, was I was saying that to myself too often. I have to do something. I have to try something. This is not, I cannot continue down this road, or I am going to lose my life earlier than it's meant to be lost, because once you really need your balance for as long as possible. You need your muscles for as long as possible, especially at my age in the 50s, because moving forward, I'm not getting younger. I'm getting older. So, yeah, weightlifting is my next thing. I have weights that I need to use other than stretching. Stretching is super important. I've been stretching more. I've been using just the resistance of my body. Find it. exhausting. I remember when I was younger, I could do push-ups no problem, did not do the, girly ones, they would call them, where you put your knees down. Now I put my knees down and it's still a struggle. I've lost a lot of body strength over these last, it's actually, I guess, 14 years because we've been here now 15. This will be our 15th year. Yeah, exactly. What works for one might not work for another. Um, but I find that getting away from, like, maybe switching to coconut sugar or maybe switching to a more natural sugar than something that they're bleaching and creating chemically could be helpful. You just have to read the glycemic indexes on it. I found out I can't use, and I think Sheena is the same way. Sheena's ketovore life was her journey too. Was she was doing a ketovore diet because she couldn't do, I think, all the fats of keto. She needed more protein, so she leaned more towards carnivore, but she still wanted a little bit of like greens and, you know, some healthy carbs. So saying that, I totally forgot that's the other thing right there. Brain fog for fibro is huge, but so is when you're losing your estrogen. Yay! So people may look at me funny and go, "Oh my gosh, you're going to go on estrogen." Well, I'll tell you what, I've tried natural progesterone. It makes me want to kill someone. So what is good for one person may not be good for another. The progestin for right now in this period of my life stopped all my erratic hormonal migraines I was getting monthly. They were horrid. I mean, felt like something was birthing out the back of my head. Exactly. It did. It took me a long time too. Mhm. And it sometimes takes, and then you go into denial. Like, and then you have people who don't believe you. So it's even worse because you're in your own denial. Like, oh, it's got to be something else. It's got to be this or that. And even my doctor said the most common thing with fibro is the people who have it do go through this, because it's a grieving process. Oh, thank you. You knew? Yeah, I do too. So I'm curious if I can still do vegan, but maybe just do it as a cleanse. Like, because I also saw there's a protocol, and she has lupus, this doctor, I'm trying to remember her name. She has lupus to the point where she was in a wheelchair and she was like, okay, I'm a doctor. I should be able to, do something about this because pharmaceuticals weren't helping her at all. She started to use electronic stim for her muscles in uh, her core to start with. She started to do really, um, how do you say it? Vitamin, mineral dense foods, like lots of greens, organ meats, things like that. Organ meats do not like, I would have to take the desiccated freeze dried. Yeah, see, and if it's not clean really well too, it can taste like gasoline sometimes, at least they used to, but like the raw quinoa. So I hear you. I'll have to try it again. That's the other thing too, is if you are having all kinds of symptoms and you can't figure out what's going on, do an elimination diet and make sure it's not in your food. That's one of the things you can do for yourself. And I had done that and I was doing quite well with it. And then our daughter years ago got married, the oldest one. And yeah. And also I was off coffee when we got him as a baby. And of course the coffee returned into my diet because the fibro was getting worse during all that stress. And also the fibro was just getting worse. And so was the estrogen was leaving my body and it was just compounded. That's the name of the test. Anti-nuclear antibody test. Oh, hello, Tofu. You're so sweet. That sticks in my after. Yes, yes, exactly, Billy. Yep. And Bob will tell you that too. When he goes to the Philippines and he's not eating the stuff we have here, he's eating fresh and from the fresh markets there. He feels a lot better. His stomach, everything. He feels so much better. Oh, thank you. Welcome, Literature and More with Kathleen. If you guys want to check out that channel of Kathleen's. Mm. So for you, it would be upper body that you would start with because of just shifting your weight and moving yourself around, just small weights. And that's what I need to start with too. This here has gotten so weak and I didn't find out until like after my 40s and I tried to pull myself up on the counter and totally embarrassed myself in front of a youth group. Oh, thanks, Wyoming Adventures. Yes, core strength is, and that's the other thing too. I want to look into the electronic stimulation. I do have a TENS unit. I can only use a TENS unit for a little, like for not a long time because of my nervous system the way it is. I don't want to set anything bad off. Oh, is she doing it again? Because I know she had gone off of it. I know she had gone off of it for a little bit. But she's the one who warned me, Moon, about she can't do Alios. I don't know if I'm saying it, Allulose. It's Dr. Gundry says it's kind of like a safe sugar alternative for those of us who are not using sugar. I haven't tried that one, but eliminating so much from my diet and then trying to make I made like these almond, and it could have been the almond, I thought, but then I was using just the sweetener in my coffee and radiated pain throughout my whole body. And that was organic monk and erythritol. I hope I'm saying that right. Erythritol, if I'm saying that right, is derived from corn. So you want organic or you're getting a GMO derivative again from our corn in the States. I control my lupus with diet and exercise. I only went to the doctors long enough to find out. Mm. And right, you said too, your ANA didn't come back positive, but you had all the symptoms of lupus. And that's one of the things that scares me is my doctor thought I had it. He gave me Fibro, but he truly thought I had lupus. But thankfully, um, you know, we'll see. Oh, how funny. Yeah. You know what's weird is through StreamYard, if I go up on other people's channels, it opens up this like random channel that I have set aside where I was going to like relabel it and have it as a backup channel when, especially for when we go into, November. Yeah. I might be having to do a backup channel. Yeah, I don't think Bob will love that, and I don't think you'll get anywhere near his place in the Philippines without either his wife beating you with a stick or, you being threatened in some way. Oh, good. Okay. Good girl. Hey, you didn't mention that before. Good girl. That's a hard switch. That's great. And if it's working for you, wonderful. I'm saying for my system, it was a real bummer to find out. But I'm going to go back and use just the monk fruit then. Let me know what brands you like, Kathleen. Oh, hey, Uno. Thank you. I appreciate it. You too, Uno. Have a great weekend. Yes, sugar does cause inflammation. And also, sugar at this age, we go into a territory that is a little sketch. Like, you don't realize if it's cortisol or is it the change or is it sugar, but we start to have problems metabolizing sugar at this age to the point where we can head really quickly towards type 2 diabetes. And it's very serious. It's just as serious, you know, as any diabetes as far as what it systemically does to the body and the damage that it can cause. Yeah, I use the Lakanto, but you have to make sure it's the organic Lakanto. I'm letting you know that right now because otherwise you're getting GMO. Yeah, that was the other thing they wanted. That was the one test I refused to do, Guardian, and it still scares. It scares me. Like, honestly, with my father and all his this was all his siblings ended up with Alzheimer's, and I'm hoping it just because, they lived so long. Sorry. They wanted to test me for MS, and the way that they test is they do the dye, and it goes up in your brain. And the more I read about that, I was like, I can't risk it. There's no way. And then they also want to always be scanning your brain. Well, who wants their brain radiated over and over again when you already have an autoimmune issue? So they can just tell you it's getting bad or, oh, it's healing up a little bit, but hey, we just radiated your brain again. So it's so frustrating in that manner as far as MS is that is their go-to test is they radiate your brain with contrast dye that some of it will remain up in your brain. And they don't necessarily aren't forthcoming about that. Yep. There you go. Yep. Yep. And you'll notice they'll put all kinds of derivatives of that in foods that are commercially owned and corporately owned. Yeah, I have the organic Lakota. If you look on it and you think it's just monk fruit, look on the back. You've got erythritol in it. But you can stop that. That's what I'm saying right now, Wyoming. Take small, actionable steps, just small ones. Um, we're in a time right now where I forget what he said in the book, which let me show you. This book so far is pretty good, even with some of the things and it's got one of those catchy titles. It's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And really, it's teaching you in the first thing about how to deal with debt on credit cards, how to deal with credit cards, what are the better credit cards to use. That's going to be the first chapter. We're getting ready to switch up our credit card because our credit card is a Disney credit card, which we have a ton of money to go and take a Disney trip. But with everything that came out about Disney, I'm hesitant. My husband doesn't pay attention to those things. And, he's fine. He wants to go take the kids. He wants to go himself. He was the one who always wanted to go, like when we had the fair. We would have the big fair come down. It was him. He used the kid as an excuse, but it was him that wanted to go. Yes, and I've heard that too, Moon, about people having really, really great, yeah, I've already lost 4 pounds in the first week just on my modified ketovore, I guess is close to what I could call it. Problem is I still at night, I get hungry, and that's my hardest part. Had I know, right? That's what they just say, "Hold still, this won't hurt." No, it'll just damage your brain. Had way too many CAT scans with contrast. Oh. Well, that you can't help. You're already yeah, my mom had that. Thank God you're alive, Wyoming. Wow, and you type so well. My mother had a rupture for her last stroke, and she got aphasia and lost a lot of her communication abilities. But in here, in her head, like in her own mind, she was communicating just fine. That's what's the crappy thing about aphasia through a stroke. Hey, Andrews Northwest Coins, welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, we don't do credit cards. We pay off our credit card every month, Billy. We do have bills because we live in town. Yeah, you can't take, yeah. But this is also about doing just basic investing, like if you have a job and, there's a 401k there, about how to plug into your 401k, how much to really put there, uh, ways to make maybe extra money. Yeah, I was concerned about that. That's why I'm not doing it. I'm not doing the full fat because I can't. Um, but we hear, negative and positive about every single diet we go on. I'm not doing, a lot of the fat bombs. I did one day, but the one thing too is I would love to do, I think the one that has the least negative. Hey, Adventures of the Outdoor Eagle. How funny. I was like, where has that guy been? Haven't seen you in a while. It's good to see you. Um, the one that is the least is the Whole30, because all you're doing is eating whole foods and you're removing dairy. That's another elimination type diet. You're not eating, I don't believe you eat regular potatoes, but you can have sweet potatoes. So that was kind of the one I might lean to, and then do like a fast with the, a lot of greens to just up my minerals and vitamins. And just, I'm right now, it's like trying to find where at this stage in life, what is going to feed my body, my muscles, my cells the best. And there's a lot of stuff out there that is just, crappy information or conflicting. So you have to zone in on what works for you. Oh, okay. Yeah, we have plenty of fake rich down here. Exactly. We have people down here that, have empty, like, mini mansions. Like, from the outside, they've got the car, they've got the clothes, they've got the mini mansion, but if they invite you over, they have barely any furniture in it at all. I have issues with firmaments. One is, who is fermenting your ferment? Here in my house, I actually told Diva I want to do sourdough ferment just to see what grows in it, because I don't know exactly what's in my air. When you're taking ferments too, you don't know necessarily where it's being fermented. Like, I will do some commercial ferments because they are at least held to a standard. Um, oh, there's that big I loved like the commercial kombucha, but that kombucha is all wild yeast that's sitting there. What if the person who is giving you that SCOBY, they have some kind of toxic mold in their house? Guess what? You're drinking it. So, yeah, some ferments are okay. Oh, I would love to have my own yard birds. Just not happening. The longevity spinach. I think I had some of that, but I definitely don't like the other one, the vining one. I think is it's just too tart for me. I don't do cereal at all. Cereals are man-made. Basically, this was all started by Kellogg's, and he was using it as an erection uh, medicine, erectile dysfunction medicine. That's how Kellogg's company came to be. Was he was a doctor. The story is even on, I think, like one of those how these companies came to be. I never stay full on cereal. I never have. And oatmeal upsets my stomach, even organic. Oh, they're really coming in, huh? You like that tad of information? Yeah. When nobody's asking me for trivia, I can give some trivia, but you ask me for it in a game and it will not come forward and out of the mouth. I'll have to see if I have longevity spinach or if I've had it. I'm not sure. But I bet it could help with your blood sugar. Oh, that's interesting. Would this be like pickled eggs? Like, how do you ferment eggs? Like, I've heard of fermenting like carrots and stuff like that. I like ferment onions. I saw somebody doing shallots. It looked delicious, but of course, it was an Asian recipe and they use soy. Can't touch soy. And a lot of soy sauces have wheat. Yeah, but are they added? Like, could you just take a supplement instead? I'll have to look into it. Yeah, you do sound like an advert. We we're finding in the States that the cereals here, they're so commercialized and they're really not good for your gut. Yeah. Pickled eggs are fantastic. I have to say I have never had one. They never appealed to me, and you know why? Because in the stores when I was little, everybody was sticking their hands in that jar. Blech! Even if it was just the person who was working there, sometimes that tong slips and blech, right? Ew, soy. Well, let's see. I only have about 20 minutes before I have to call it. I don't know if I'm going to open it up or not. But basically, today was about taking those small steps instead of freezing, instead of continuing on the path that you're on where you're not doing one thing to get to that person that you want to be rather than the person that you are as far as in your pain levels, in your immobility. Um, and, and I'm not speaking to people who they can't help it and they're in bed and they're, dealing with paralysis. That I'm talking to folks who are like myself, who are either dealing with fibro, who are dealing with Hashimoto's thyroid, who are dealing with other autoimmunes, even lupus. We have, our friend Brenda is always trying things to improve the pain levels and the stiffness and everything that she deals with. Okay, pickling. Let me see this. I need a way to preserve my eggs and looking at fermenting pickling. Pickling are shelf stable, but have to refrigerate fermented. Huh. Yeah, I want to try my hand at sourdough, but here I am, annexing out a lot of that. Yeah, I wish I could only eat fresh eggs. We live in a city, Sammy Joe, that uh, chickens are illegal, and my husband does not want to get fined because we also live in an HOA where, sometimes there's HOA condo commandos. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. No, you eat all natural off the land, Andrew. You know what's good for your body from your ancestors and what will help sustain you up in that climate. Here, as it gets hotter, that's probably when I'm going to do. Um, but like, I'm not putting you down, Guardian. I hope you know, like, if it's working for you, dude, do it. Fine. But I can't. It's what I'm getting away from, actually. And I don't agree with these protein powders unless you're working out like Guardian does. Like, unless you are lifting or doing some kind of muscle building exercise, you should be eating your food. You should not be drinking it. Don't drink your calories. You'll enjoy it so much more if you can eat them. I get it if you're on the go, but make sure you don't add the meal on top of it with the shake. That's always been my thing. Also, what's in the shake? Found out that a lot of the healthier shake had an additive that's a carcinogen. Want more fresh eggs, but yeah, right? That would be great. A doctor's note to bypass the city. Oh, I would love that. I bet it is. And you don't have a rooster, right, Glenn? I think when I've seen your girls, you don't have a rooster, so you don't have to worry about, oops, that one was fertilized. Well, most of them were created as lies. It's the same thing with recycling. Recycling's a lie. I'll look into that a bit more. I'll definitely look into it. I eat organic avocados. I eat basically what would grow here, is what I'm trying to do. If it'll grow here and I'm living here, that's, except for iguanas, don't even bring that up. If Homestead Aquarius sees this, he's going to say, get that iguana and, roast it up. Still, I find avocados very satiating. Um, and they do have more of a good fat than, say, me going out and, eating things with, commercial mayonnaise. Yes, I've heard of that. That's with lye, though, isn't it? When they water glass? That sounds so ew. But I saw a couple do it and they saved the eggs for like a whole year. And the only thing it became was a bit runny. Like it didn't go through the egg shell. But the egg itself became a little bit runny, but he didn't affect him at all. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, see, we take for granted our stores. Andrew's got a store, he says that most of the shelves are empty. They live off the land for real up there. Exactly. One meal at a time. I know breakfast options on like low carb, it gets a little eh. So sometimes, you know what? I can skip like early breakfast and I'll have like a like brunch. But you can eat like that's the thing though. We always get frozen up because we're like, oh, cereal, eggs, oh, pancakes, waffles. You can eat dinner for breakfast. You can eat a thing of salmon and greens for breakfast. It's your breakfast. Eat what makes your body feel good. That's healthy, of course, and not made by a corporation if you can help it. Yeah, right? I don't think that would pass, but I could. Yeah, I'll ask him. I think that's funny. Yeah, drinking sugar is so is drinking derivatives of milk products. Have the milk product if you're going to have a milk product. Have as close to organic or raw, less processed, the better. But even like dairy can aggravate fibro. So that's why I was drinking my coffee black before this one, and I'm going to go back to black after I'm done testing out the mushroom coffee. Okay, I thought so. So you don't have to worry about like, oops, baby chick when you're cracking your eggs. But yeah, drinking the sugar is not good. Basically, I'm on lemon water with a little bit of sea salt for it's helping because I can't have Gatorade. I don't want a bunch of chemical mixes. I take a vitamin B. That's probably the only thing that might have something iffy in it, but it's not sugar. It's a dissolvable B complex, but I have to because I'm pretty sure I have that mother effer gene. That's how I remember it. EMTHFR. It looks like mother fricker. Yeah, exactly. No reason to have it unless you sell chicks. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, it's lime. Yeah, okay. For some reason, I was thinking it was lye, like what they do that lutefisk with. Uh, yeah, you can do that. Go ahead, Glenn. You make that. You make that one. I can't make that barbecue and iguana video yet. I'm not there. I'm lucky to be walking. The doctors told me when I was 22 that I would be. Oh my gosh. How dare they speak that over you? Amen. You're still walking. That's wonderful. That's wonderful that you overcame that kind of false prophecy over your life. Yeah, I could understand, especially up in Alaska, that they would water glass. Yeah, I've that's basically what the homesteader said. He couldn't tell the difference once it was scrambled up. The only thing you can tell the difference is when you crack it open, the yolk is no longer unto itself. It's runny and runs into the white. Oh, I like eggs for dinner too, Glenn. I'm with you. I like breakfast for dinner. I totally do. I that was me. Me too. And I would get sick. My mom would actually have cereal for us and milk, whatever that milk was. And then, of course, orange juice, which is always a great combination with a milk product. Like, ew, who thought of that? Sour the kid's stomach and then send them off to a public place. Yeah, that would be gross. Oh, that's awesome, Sammy Joe. I love that. I love that. I would love to get to that place, but right now there's a season in my life where my garden is just there's some things that are doing well. A lot of things uh well, two of my great trees ended up with fungus. And this isn't the first time with the mango, and I found out after the fact when I bought the mango tree that probably shouldn't have gotten that specific one. peach cobbler. I was looking actually for the juicy peach, and she had peach cobbler, and I grabbed that. But I really need to do more research and probably just stick with the dwarf, which there's Carrie and one of the guys who actually made the mango told me about one that he wants me to get, and I should have bought it from him. I definitely should have. I just got so excited when I finally got out to this nursery, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll take that." And then she gave me like one of the free Cuban oreganos, and it was just nice day until I found out that that really wasn't a great mango for my area in South Florida because it will get fungus. Now, if store them in a 5-gallon pot. Yeah. Well, I found these. They're not large enough for your eggs. Walmart had another one. I'll show you the one I got that was at Walmart. I got these off of eBay. I mean, off of Amazon for my rice and also for grains because I have the hard red wheat. Ow, that twisting there was not a good move. And then let's see the other big one. Great. Oh, duh, I was seeing right through it. Hold on one second. Let me get it. That one was given to me actually, but it was found at Walmart. I think I saw it at Walmart later on. That's interesting. I didn't know that. But it makes sense because legumes can be toxic if they're not cooked properly. That's the same thing with one bad bowl of chili, like the Guardian too. If you ever get, beans and they're not cooking up right, I would rather just not use them. Oh, there you go. You can put them in a 5-gallon bucket. Oh no, I hope it's not a drip in your house, Barry. In the UK, we have something called. Oh, I love all day breakfast. Yum. You know what? I think I missed one that Andrew said about his foods. Hold up. There it is. We put our walrus fat and skin in the ground. Springtime and wintertime, we dig it up and eat it. Really? See, like my stomach would just die. It wouldn't be used to those bacterias and things that you all are used to. But these are traditions that have been handed down, and you've eaten that bacteria in your body, is used to it, and your body probably uses it effectively. Seagull and duck and geese and bird eggs, the best here. June, find fresh wild eggs. I've seen that. Even though you say it's just television, like it's basically television, I've seen them go out on a hunt for the wild eggs. Well, you know who I have? I hold on, I'll get the book. Oh shoot, now my book's just collapsed. Never mind. The book is put on the shelf where it should be, not by my chair. Walter Zill is not far from me. How to garden. I'm going to go and get uh, a tree from him, and his brother Gary is super close to me, and I want to see him this next mango season if he'll let me because it's really for wholesalers, his property. But I'll check out Dr. Campbell next, definitely. But Walter and his wife are so nice, and they're not far. And that's actually where I picked up some of my mangoes and fell in love with mangoes. Unfortunately, I fell in love too hard, and the fructose I overdid. I didn't know why I wasn't feeling so great. And I started like kind of bloating up, and made the realization like, Carol, you're inhaling fructose. You're not balancing it out with anything else. Oh, it was rainwater dripping out. Oh, okay. That's the thing too, is people use agave nectar. Agave nectar is a fructose syrup. Wine, if you drink too much of it, is fructose, and you can gain belly fat from both. You have to really be careful of these natural things. Same thing with a lot of honey, it can do it. But mostly the fructose syrups, you got to watch out for those. That's why high fructose corn syrup, great, great introductory drug to diabetes. Okay. Well, I'm going to end it pretty soon anyway. I've got like 4 minutes and I've got to call it because I've got to get ready for my husband coming home. And I think I'm going to be making him pork chops. And I'll be having the pork chops and a vegetable, but he'll get to have mashed potatoes in front of me. But I bought him the bad ones. I just bought him the store bought, like in the fridge section. So I didn't have to actually mash them and make them and smell all that under my nose. Because he doesn't care about his diet. I'll tell you what, I wish he would, because he does have diabetes in the family and he has cancer in the family too. He will, and he got me hooked on it for a while. He's got this thing with peppermint patties. He's got a whole drawer full in the back of his, guess what drawer? Fruit and vegetable drawer, because we each take a drawer. Mine's filled with fruits and vegetables. And you look over at my husband's and it's like half of it is peppermint patties. Ah, but I love him. And, right now that's what all he can, just the day to day is enough. And I figured if I can read more about finance and get those steps down as far as some investment, even though it's late, it's better to do it while you're younger, a steady investment. I believe he's going to recommend money market accounts, but I'm not positive. And a good credit card and making those points work for you too as money. And that's what we did originally. I found out, I think it's the Costco card down here in America, that you can take your points and use them in various ways. So you're getting money back. Yeah, my husband's like, he's basically a sugar addict. He really is. He will. What's so weird though, he'll get Crystal Light, like, ugh, and drink it, like, just because he doesn't like just plain water. But I'm like, please don't drink all those chemicals. Most of them do in my side chat, Sammy Joe. That's all their channels. I don't have the bot set up, and Barry had trouble with the bot kicking people out, StreamYard. But tonight, I don't know how late you stay up. Most of us will be in my Fri-Yay, which is very late. It's like 11:30 Eastern. Most of my friends in here usually stop by or hang out in there. I think let me check who's got, hold on. Let me see if I can drop it, Andrew, from up here. Anybody else who has a wrench wants to drop it. I'm so bad at this, of finding where the share button is when I'm up here live. I'm fine when I'm somebody's sidekick and I can do it. This is so weird. Yeah, it is not going well. Since they changed it all around, it's like, I hate it. It's just, okay, I got it. All right. I got yours, Andrew. Paste. Oh, thank you, Guardian. I feel the same about you. Yeah, for sure. And I'll look into that Avo stuff. I totally believe it. It's like all our food is so commercialized. It's so sad. Threads and Jars, what's up? Yeah, Threads and Jars does. Actually, I need to swing around. Have I been missing videos? I wonder if they even unsub me from you. They've been doing that. I was unsub from Alabama Farm Life. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Hello, Tofu. Okay, so there's Storms, Radios, and Cats. He's usually always in here. He makes videos, and he does live streams on Sunday night. We go over to his place, 9:30 Eastern. And Diva in the Dirt, who can't be here right now, Maureen, who's usually my sidekick on Friday nights, and I'm hers on Saturday nights. Hers is Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. And she's almost to 1,000, and she totally deserves it. I'm doing better. I'm off sugar and it's helping. It's just the getting the moving and everything, going is making me quite sore because of the fibro, but I'm doing better. And I'm trying to take the stress of the finances because we've been through a lot this year off our shoulders a bit by learning a bit more about money and just how to manage it even better. And we manage quite well. We don't have debt except for our house. We don't have car debt. We don't go and change our car all the time. Uh, and we had savings. We still have a little bit, but what happened this year really could have wiped us out. Here, I'm going to share more again. Yes, cucumber water is big down here too. I've actually made smoothies with it, with cucumber and watermelon. Oh yeah, soda's garbage. Don't yeah. I know a lot of people love it. My husband loves it. He gets caught sometimes bringing home a 2 liter. I'm like, where did that 2 liter of stuff come from in our fridge? But it's usually during like a game or something he wants to watch, and he only watches football every once in a while. We're just too busy, so I just it's him. I'm not ruler over my husband. He has to do what he needs to do. I can make suggestions, but I'm not going to make him want to go up on the roof of our house, basically, as the Bible verse sort of goes. A long time ago, I did a video on that, Wickershire, but it was more of a juicing of, I believe it was cucumber and watermelon. I forget what else. Maybe it was some lemon or lime. Yeah, most of the people in here do. Oh, I'm super ADHD. I wish my mom would have done that, but all they told her was just give her more discipline. Yay. You never liked carbs for food? You sound like my cousin. My cousin was her father was the nutritionist. He has his doctorate of nutrition, my uncle. And that's my mom's brother, the youngest one of the family. They didn't eat crap. They ate really well. Like only now, like as he's gotten older, does he do like pizza, but he exercises it off. Like he used to go run. He was a runner for a really long time. The only thing is that as he got older, it impacted his knees a little too much. He's very, very stiff now due to what it did to his knees. Exactly. Exactly. Well, that too. And here it takes money because we don't necessarily like I was a city kid and my brothers never would like they love to go out and like get pets, like a turtle or something like that, but they didn't hunt. My brothers didn't hunt. So I didn't know about, wild foods. Um and so I didn't use them. Let me see if I can drop any more before I have to go. But today was just basically about what can you in this we're in this generation of it's called like the outrage. We get caught in this outrage syndrome where we get so mad at what's going on and we blame that thing and we blame this and it gets us caught in a cycle of blame and less personal responsibility. And so we are getting all outraged and then status quo right after, like we're not changing anything about it. And I found I was doing that with my health. And when I read that, and I actually read that paragraph in this book, and I was like, that's so true. We are in this time of just outrage syndrome. Thank you. Hello, Tofu, so much. Oh, and I despise anything dairy. Wow. That's amazing. There you go. There's our flagship to look to. Yeah, the dairy I found out that's one of the reasons I might have to back off the dairy. Dairy, is actually, and I just found this out from my hygienist. She went to re-up her certifications and stuff and took a class on the microbiome of our gut. And they said how the microbiome like forms a chain from our mouth and gum disease down into our gut and, the reverse. So the same bacterias are in both places. And she said dairy, of all things, is one of the worst. And you wouldn't think so because they're like, oh, it's so calcium laden. Well, usually the phosphorus is too high for the calcium to sink in, is what when I was researching it a little bit, what I was told. Anyway, that going into your stomach causes more tooth decay than just about anything because of what feeds off of it. Ew. I don't know how true that is. She told me that from going to that. My family ate store-bought. Okay, but in fairness, saltine crackers, are you making them? Talking about your family store-bought. Saltine crackers are store-bought. I don't touch saltine crackers except for the gluten-free ones, and even then, when I was eating them, I couldn't, like, I could just eat them, but they were too expensive, so I didn't. Like, I love saltine crackers, so I'm not faulting you for that. I love a good saltine cracker. Can't have them right now. It's true. Okay, you found out the same thing. Okay. About it feeding our microbiome. That's the thing too with if you're using creamer, this is one thing you can change right off the bat. If you are a coffee and creamer drinker, look at the ingredients in your creamer. If your creamer has any emulsifiers in it, carginian is a big one that people know about, that's a baddie. But any kind of emulsifiers, that right there is stripping your microbiome. It is causing issues with your microbiome, your natural microbiotics going on in your gut that keep you healthy, that keep your immune system going. It is doing damage to them, at least in my opinion. And I am no doctor, and it's just from things that I've read and things that I've watched, and that, we're becoming more and more aware of our microbiome and how we over cleanse ourselves from even our exterior microbiome. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you don't eat any greens at all, or you just like strictly meat, like meat and eggs? Because that for us, like we have to move if we would all like live that way, which I don't see my children living that way. I wish they would. Um, or even my husband, we would have to raise our own meat. And just even basic like rabbit here, it gets so hot in South Florida, I would be constantly going out there with frozen jugs to keep them alive. And the moms can get so stressed out in the heat, they can actually eat their babies. Not just the heat, but also the things that we have coming out of the canal, the rats. Because the rats can get about as big as a baby rabbit or even bigger. Freeze different sizes in Ziploc bags. Let me see how he's saying they do the meat. Okay. So what about, but Andrew, you spoke about, and we spoke about this before, I think you smoke some of your meats so they will last too, right? It's kind of like your version of a very flavorful dehydrator with certain meats. Wow. Okay. Yeah, see, I was reading about that too. Yeah. And Dr. Gundry talks a bit, he touches on it about the lectins, or lectins, excuse me, lectins in plants and how that can be toxic. See, it's so weird because on green juices, I'm great. I feel good. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll take some of that. I can't get though into the salmon jerky. I don't know if it's because it condenses the flavor too much, but like with how you've grown up, that's nothing. I mean, you eat seal meat, you eat the blubber, I think you call it. I mean, you make that the Eskimo ice cream that you like to tease me with when you went when Chi was in here. Um, I just take because I do eat salmon and I eat a lot of seafood because I live in South Florida. When it's, fresh, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I wish we lived the type of life where we had a boat, but right now that's just financially not happening. No, it's all most plants do. Most plants have toxins in them, hello tofu, and so do their seeds to protect themselves in out there in nature. It's not just hers. I just wanted to clarify. It's not just Morgan's. Uh, if you study lectins in plants and in seeds, you find out a little bit more about the toxins that they create to help sustain themselves that we are unknowingly ingesting a lot of and could be causing problems. But I still love my vegetables. I love my fruits. That's the problem. I have not been eating fruits except for like what I said, a few dates, and I'm like, I count like the carbs. Like, okay, that's all right. I've had 5 carbs, so it's not my plan. Yeah, there, exactly. Causes histamine, oxalate. Yes, yep. Thank you. I couldn't remember the other ones. Oxalates are big. David the Good even talks about he has to stay away from high oxalate veggies. And for me, the acid in tomatoes, even though they're like, it's probably, how they'll be like, well, if you have lemon, that's really, it becomes a base in your body and all that. I just know I pee glass off of certain acidic things, and that's tomatoes, a lot of citrus, anything that's acidic like that. Well, like I said, it depends on your system, like, what works for you. If you have chronic pain, that was, my suggestion is first of all, do an elimination diet. Just eliminate one thing out of your diet for you do it usually. I think at least the base is weeks, like a month at least. And sometimes it's even longer just to figure out if that's the food that might be causing an issue and could be having your system overreact. Like for me, when I was on the elimination diet, I found out no garbanzo beans, can't do those, which was a stunner. So no hummus, like hummus and chips. Oh, yeah, especially the pine nut hummus. Give it to me. But no, it was causing inflammation in my system. Trying to think what else came out during that time. Actually, dairy did, and I really need to remove dairy. And I felt so much more calm not doing coffee. Coffee is a big it gets us going, and for those of us with ADHD, it's like a natural Adderall. However, if you have any issues with your adrenal system and you tend to if you overexert yourself, and your overexertion could be like mine. You walk around the block and the next day you have no like hardly any energy whatsoever. It's messing with your adrenals all the time and you can burn out your adrenals. They call it something so different now. It's got a brand new name, but it means the same thing. You've got to take care of your adrenal glands, your glands. In fact, that's the next doctor that my rheumatologist wants me to see is, yeah, the gland doctor. I know when I have hit the amount of carbs my body needs because I can sit still and find something to work on, energy bursts like that. Yeah, I know it. See, and that's the thing with fibro too, is when you have a good day, you tend to overdo it because you're so happy you can move and you can get things done. And so you try and do all the things. Oh, yeah. I like the snow crab only because I don't like dealing with the outside of the king crab, but fresh, I'll take that too. Yeah, no way can we afford it in the States. It's so expensive, even snow crab. Like, I remember years ago, 14 years back, and it would go on sale like crazy, like 5, $7 a pound, I think. Now it's like, oh, it's on sale. I forget, 14. For a while ago, the market was crazy down here for it. But it's also because we're so far removed from you guys, and all the shipping, I imagine, is what bumps up the price. And there's only so many. You guys have your restrictions there, I'm sure. Um, that's another show that we watch too, Deadliest Catch. Yeah, I started doing that. Yeah. Decaf, you have to be careful of how they decaffeinate your coffee. That can also add toxins to your drink, how they're doing it. But yeah, my husband is, and we'll just say I always know when he has ice cream. He also has an issue with too many eggs. Ugh. You overdid it Wednesday. Good. And I'm sorry you're feeling it today, but the plumbing is very important to get sorted. All right, y'all. I thank you so much for hanging out with me this long. I really, really appreciate it. I was gonna try and push for 2 hours, but if I do, that puts me at like 4:30. Because the lives right now for the creators, the lives and the shorts are hitting the YouTube algorithm. These videos that we're working on to bank and put into our channel are really not. But I do wish you all the best, and hopefully I'll see some of you later on tonight. If I don't, you're totally appreciated for this time that you spent with me. And I hope that you can take one actionable step to make your journey here on this earth in the body that you're in a little bit better for yourself. And I wish you nothing but the best. God bless you. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.